All right, today, this is a special episode. I'm going to be interviewed by one of our team members, Chad, and we're going to be talking about 5 different issues. Number one, an issue that is affecting the podcasting industry that you should care about. Number two, I'm going to share a tool that I have been using and I love that I want you to use as well. We're going to talk about 2 books that you should read that I've read recently that I would recommend. And we're going to talk about a thought leader who I admire and respect, who you should follow the work that they do. And then finally, a case study of a business that has been using podcasts to establish their thought leadership and authority and how you can utilize that same strategy. So my guest today is Chad Franzen. He's going to be interviewing me. I'll tell you more about what we're doing in a second, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where we feature top entrepreneurs, business leaders, and thought leaders and ask them how they built key relationships to get where they are today. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I am the host of the show, and you know every week we have smart CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs of companies and organizations such as Netflix, Grubhub, Redfin, Gusto, Kinko's, YPO, EO, Activation Blizzard, and many more. This week is an exception because I'm that person this time, and I'm going to be sharing some things that I've learned recently and some records brought to you by Rise25, our company where we help B2B businesses to give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. How do we do that? We do that by helping you to run your podcast. We're the easy button for any company to launch and run a podcast. We do 3 things. Number 1, strategy, accountability, and full execution. 1, 2, 3. Those are the 3 things that we focus on. And that is the 3-legged stool that will lead you to be successful with your B2B podcast. And you can also go to our website and learn about our platform, which is Podcast Copilot. Rise25.com is the website, or email our team at support@rise25.com. All right, turning it over to you, Chad. I'm excited to get started.
Absolutely. Great to talk to you again, John. We'll dive right into it. As you mentioned in your preview, we're going to be discussing an issue affecting the podcasting industry, a new tool that listeners should use, 2 books listeners should read, a thought leader who you admire and respect, who listeners should follow, and a case study of a business who has been using podcasts to establish their thought leadership and authority, and how listeners might be able to use that same strategy. So the first topic is an issue affecting the podcast industry today.
Yes. So there's a lot of issues obviously affecting the podcasting industry today, but a big one that I wanted to talk about today is how generative AI or LLM, the rise of AI, is affecting podcasts. And this and podcasting also, in addition, related to that, is traffic to websites, because that affects podcasts as well. And, we certainly don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know the answer to how it's going to affect everything. Right now, there's a lot of paranoia. There's a lot of focus. I'm here not too far from Silicon Valley, so of course, people are always talking about new technology and tools. But right now, the stat I saw recently is that there's something like 370 times as many searches on Google as there are searches on all of the LLMs combined right now. Now, of course, those numbers are increasing. More people are going and searching LLMs, but it's a little bit of paranoia when actually a lot more people are searching with Google, at least today. That may change over time. There's some who say, though, that the pie will just get larger. In other words, Google's traffic may continue to stay the same or increase over time, while this whole other area continues to grow. So people will continue to search in Google, and they may also they probably likely will also go to the LLMs and do search like that. But all this is going to affect traffic to websites, and it's going to affect podcast discoverability. And I don't know exactly how it's going to affect all these things, but one thing that I do know is that the things that got us where we are today will get us where we want to go in the future. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that some of the fundamentals of building a website, building a web presence, building authority, establishing your credibility online is going to continue to be useful, invaluable when it comes to generative AI. And that's how you will show up in the search engines, is if you continue to do those things. So there's a lot of people thinking that we need to suddenly do something different when it comes to generative AI to show up in the LLMs. I don't believe that's true. From all the research that I've been doing so far, we need to do more of what we're doing. Certainly be mindful of any changes and tweaks. And there's some who are saying that you need to provide a lot more detail. You need to make sure that your website is readable by the LLMs, which are constantly crawling the internet and crawling different websites and stuff like that. But it's not. It's like a step change. It's not like a dramatic change. So that's the big issue that I've kind of been keeping my eye on today.
So that kind of leads us right into our next topic. There is a tool that people can use to kind of help SEO and podcasts work together. What is that tool?
So the tool I've been using is Ahrefs, and there are others that are competitors out there. I tried out some of the different ones. I'm really a big fan of Ahrefs. It is a tool for analyzing your website and discovering if your technical SEO is in good place, monitoring keywords, monitoring top pages and how they're performing, looking at competitors, analyzing competitors, finding content opportunities. And, the modern world relies on the web, and yet I feel like we don't fully understand how to communicate with that modern world. In some ways, we've kind of duplicated the world that we had before the internet. So, it used to be yellow pages. People put ads out there, and we kind of took those ads and we moved them onto our website. But the truth is that the modern web communicates in a different way. And so, Google actually has these bots that go out and crawl the web and analyze different websites. And they look at a lot of different factors because they have a lot of places that they can send traffic. Google can send, you probably have lots of competitors. And so when someone searches for a term, Google just wants to send that traffic to the best result, the page that produces the best result for them, the best answer for that person. So that person is happy. And so that's what they do. And they have a lot of competition to do that. So if your website is messy, has a lot of broken links, has a lot of 404 pages, doesn't have clear descriptions, clear answers, then they'll send that traffic to someone else. And it's on you to go and fix those things. I've been in the process of cleaning up our website so that our website is in better shape now that I have a better understanding of these things. And it's not a small job. It's a big project to make sure that your website is built in a certain, in a way that's structured for Google and these other websites to be able to discover you. It's not enough today. You can't just build it and they will come. You can't just, say we'll just put good content out there, because you'll effectively, be like building your store in the very back of a quiet street where no one comes by. And if you want to be visible in the modern web, you have to play by their rules. And so it's been an educational process for me, and Ahrefs has been a great tool for understanding how to make these changes.
That's interesting. I would have thought a 404, obviously, it doesn't really look good if a customer comes to your website and they run into a bunch of 404 pages, but it also affects SEO. That's another reason not to have them, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it does, because Google and now the LLMs, they go out and they crawl the web and they'll see, do you have, no 404s, or do you have 5, 10, 15, 20, 200? Some websites have hundreds of them. And keep in mind that, Google's going and crawling other websites at the same time, your competitors' websites. And if your competitors' websites has no 404 pages, there's a higher level of trust. It's kind of a proxy for, is this a legitimate business? Is this a business that we can take seriously? Is this a business that is going to provide good information and a good experience for the user that is doing a Google search that Google is going to send in your direction? And so it's the 404s are just like a proxy to help Google evaluate whether your website, whether your business is worth sending traffic to.
Continuing along in the topic of SEO in the age of LLMs or generative AI, you have read recently 2 books regarding that. Can you tell us what those are?
So a couple of books that I have read recently that I would recommend. One is Product-Led SEO by Eli Schwartz. And the other one is the SEO Workbook by Jason McDonald, who's based here in San Francisco. It's advertised as the 2025 version, although it references a few things in there like Google Plus that is not even around anymore. So he needs to clean that up a little bit. He has updated it somewhat. But both of those are really good good overviews of understanding SEO. And in the case of Eli Schwartz, it's taking a look at how to evolve your product offering and your service offerings through SEO, and how to develop your products and service offerings through SEO. And so both of those are great primers for anyone who wants to know better how to utilize SEO in today's day and age.
Okay, that's Product-Led SEO by Eli Schwartz and SEO Workbook by Jason McDonald. What about somebody in your network who listeners might benefit from following?
David Meerman Scott is a friend. He's been an advocate. He's been a supporter. He is an amazing thought leader, especially about marketing and PR today. He actually coined the term newsjacking. He's written a bunch of different books, including The New Rules of Marketing and PR and Fanocracy, Marketing the Moon, which is about the Apollo missions and really the marketing campaign that the federal government had to engage in order to rally people behind this initiative. And then Marketing Lessons for the Grateful Dead. I've got a Grateful Dead album behind me here. I'm a big fan of their music, and so that's another one that he wrote. So he's put out a wealth of different ideas, and he speaks at various different places around the planet. Really, he's an amazing speaker. I've seen him speak. So he's a good friend and someone that I would highly recommend. Go follow his Instagram. Go follow his blog. He puts actually a lot of content online. So he really practices what he preaches. Follow what he does because he's a great guy.
Okay, finally, a case study regarding how maybe a client of Rise25 has benefited from his or her podcast.
Yeah, so I was just talking to a client recently who is an attorney, and he's an attorney kind of like I was, in not a large community, not a large geographic community, and even his area of practice was even more narrow than that. And we were just kind of casually talking about his podcast, and he just mentioned how he's had a lot of people coming, a lot of clients who have just mentioned kind of offhandedly as they're hiring him, basically, that I listened to a bunch of episodes of your podcast. And that's just music to my ears because, these people, without you expending any additional effort, people are out there consuming this information, building trust. You're establishing greater authority, and it's not taking any of your time, any of your additional time. And by the time these people, a prospective client, gets on the phone with you, they are already so much further along in that buying cycle. They already have greater trust in you, and so that's exactly what happened with him. And he said he got a number of clients that were like this. So it's really cool to hear that sort of thing. And I say that to other people all the time. Look, if you want to build trust and authority in your industry, which we were just talking about, that trust and authority today and expertise is more important than ever. And as far as search engine optimization is concerned, as far as the generative AI engines are concerned, you have to establish that you are an authority, that you have expertise. And one of the great ways to do that is through a podcast, which then will lead to other authority building opportunities, like invitations to speak on stage, like invitations to speak on other podcasts, like opportunities to co-author books, all the different things that help you to establish credibility. Over 16 years of doing my podcast, I can tell you that my podcast has been integral to so many of those opportunities, from writing for Forbes, writing for Entrepreneur, writing for Inc., getting up, I invited once to speak on stage at a conference that Malcolm Gladwell and Shaquille O'Neal were the other speakers there. So these sorts of opportunities, which are traditional authority building opportunities, can really be traced back to the fact that I have a platform, I have this tool, a podcast, which I can utilize to share my wisdom, share my expertise, and also build my network at the same time. And those are that's the magic formula when you combine all of those.
So his client, this client's client base probably comes from the city that he lives in and the surrounding area, most likely. So it's a kind of a limited market, but the podcast is still quite beneficial, even though theoretically it goes worldwide. Yeah,
absolutely. Anyone can listen to it anywhere. So there are lots of there are lots of people that start podcasts that have some kind of geographic limitation to them, including me. Because when I started my podcast, I was living in a community of 275,000 people. I was an attorney practicing law, so I was a professional services, a much smaller legal community too. I mean, I don't know how many lawyers there were, a couple thousand maybe. And in my industry, my particular area of practice was even smaller than that. And so, in terms of geographic limitation, it was tiny. And the number of people, the relationships that it took to move the needle was tiny too. So yeah, absolutely. It actually, you don't need to have a business that is of a worldwide application in order for a podcast to be tremendously beneficial for your business.
Okay, sounds good. Well, hey, John, it's been great to talk to you as always, and we hope that people benefit from all of this.
Yep, and we'll put all those links in the show notes, so go to the website and you can check them out there.
Okay, thanks so much, John.
Thanks, John.
So long, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Smart Business Revolution podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.